Hello and welcome to Type A-. Today we are talking about camera presence, the mortifying ordeal of recording yourself. We're going to be talking about some strategies to make it feel easier and more fun so that you get better output for all of the energetic input that goes into making one of these videos. So let's get into today's episode. There is a perception that hitting record and putting yourself out there on the internet is something that anybody can do. And while logically, yes, anybody could do that, not everybody wants to put themselves out there and publish their face on the internet and share what they have to say out there in the world. But for those of us who do, it can feel a bit like a cage when you want to do it and you have that raw nerve, that vulnerability, that very soft, tender soul. It can feel really scary to do it. And so often what we do is we bring armor to the recording and we use what one of my best friends calls the customer service voice when we show up. Hi guys, today I want to teach you how to. I look back on some of my old content and that's who's coming through. It's kind of excruciating, painful to watch because video to me is like the most transparent medium. If I show up today and I'm nervous about what I'm talking about and I'm unsure about what I'm going to say to you and I'm stumbling and I'm fumbling through the recording and the jump cuts are awkward and the music is too loud, even if you have something good to say, I can't hear it because I'm too distracted. If you go see stand-up comedy and the comic is bombing and they're doing a bad job, everybody in the room is so uncomfortable. This is what I call the mortifying ordeal of putting yourself out there because everybody can see it. And so the only choice is to get better. And this is very much a skill that you can improve with what I'm going to walk you through today. So the first thing when you're sitting down to record is you want to think about your physical space. Like, am I even comfortable? First of all, am I comfortable in my body? Am I wearing comfortable clothes? Before I sat down to record this video, I had a completely different outfit on. And then when I was jotting down my notes, I realized like, I'm not even comfortable here. So I'm going to be preoccupied with my clothes the whole time I'm on this video. Like, no. There's no need for that. There's no need to make things harder than they need to be, which is going to be a big theme that comes up in this video. But I know for a lot of people, the only place you can be alone is in your car. So if you are recording in your car, this still applies to you, okay? Think about what do you need to be comfortable? Like, do you need to go get yourself like a little coffee before you sit down to record? Like, I have a little coffee here. I have a candle burning over on the other side of the room. My dog is sleeping next to me. I'm in comfortable clothes. Like, I feel relaxed. So my energy that's going to show up on camera is going to be a lot more relaxed. It's a really important part of this process is to think about your own physical comfort when you are making a video. One of the best ways I know how to do this is it's a two-pronged approach. So you're going to use only the back camera on your camera, whether you're using an iPhone or you're using any kind of camera that has a viewfinder, you are going to turn that shit around so that you are not distracted by your own image while you are talking to camera. Whatever's happening on the other side of that screen is none of your business. Your business is to be here, fully present, and sharing the message that you felt inspired to share. And short form platforms, this is a rant for another episode, but short form platforms are the biggest offenders of this because when you sit down to record natively in the app, it immediately goes to front camera. So you see yourself and you have the opportunity to re-record and re-record and re-record and overthink and never actually post anything because you're so preoccupied with your own face and how you looked and that your hair looks weird and that your boobs are saggy. But people don't care that much. People are not paying that much attention. You want to feel good about yourself. But one of the best things that I ever did when it came to feeling more comfortable on camera is learn how to say, well, I look how I look today. Whatever comes out on the other side of the video, I guess that's just what we're working with. And sometimes it is bad enough that I will not post the content, but 9 times out of 10, if I can get myself into that headspace where I'm like, no, the message was good and I can live with this, then I can upload the video, I can make the content and move on. I can move on because what I look like is none of my business. I look how I look, and I have to believe that my message was actually strong enough to transcend that. Don't try so hard. Whenever I go on Instagram these days, I'm just like, what are we doing, you guys? Like, everybody is trying so hard when the reality is that people want to just hang out like we are right now. And just like get a real person on the other side. We're always like sniffing around for it as there's more and more distrust. I actually heard it called a trust recession the other day. Come on now with the marketing of that one. A trust recession. In a trust recession, it is even more important that we are comfortable bringing our full selves to whatever we do, whether it's showing up to the office or recording a video. Everywhere we go, we benefit from occupying our energy a little more fully and securely. So when it comes to recording a video, I like to do this is spend time thinking about what I want to say, like really thinking through what do I want to say. There is a bit of meandering that needs to happen. I have this little area of Notion called the free write. And I actually put together a free template if you want to try this process out. I find it incredibly liberating to have a single place where I can just rant and rant and rant and rant. I find it helpful as someone with ADHD to type instead of handwrite because my mind is moving so fast and my fingers can move a lot faster. In fact, in preparing for this video, I actually did paper write a list, and I was agonized by the process of writing something I will get to a little later, but it was worth it because it reminded me to slow down. I started yesterday with talking about all of my feelings. This is usually what happens. There's like a very surface level of a lot of feelings right here. And I just need to pour myself out inside of the free write, and all the feelings come out for the first couple sentences. And then I get to the good stuff. And then I get to like the taking action and what I really want to do. And I'm just like, I'm off in the right direction once I can get all those feelings out of the way. And it helps me get to the core of what I'm actually trying to say. I published an episode last week about Substack, but one of the things I see from people all the time is they'll be like, okay, what is this piece about? And they'll be like, I don't know. And I think we do the same thing with YouTube videos. I want to record something, but what is it really about here? So I find it helpful to think about, okay, what can I share today that is uniquely something that I can speak to with ease? And usually that comes through a little written meander through my free write tool. I will leave a link to my Substack where you can get it there. When you get more comfortable with speaking to camera because you're in a comfortable environment and you know what you're here to say, you can kind of let yourself improv. If you're somebody who wants to get more comfortable on camera, it's about letting yourself stumble through your words sometimes. And I actually think this is a competitive edge. Really just wanting to make sure if I'm going to follow this person, if I'm going to believe what they have to say, that this is a real person and that they're not outsourcing their divine intelligence to some robot made of zeros and ones. That's how I feel anyway. So if I can let you see that sometimes I'm tumbling over my words, that's all good for me. That's what gives the video texture. Texture is something that's severely lacking when it comes to this space. It's like such a huge opportunity for us to show our real selves because we're comfortable in ourselves. And if you're not comfortable in yourselves, well, then here's the invitation, baby. Like, come on in. It feels so much better over here. And I think one of the best ways to develop a comfort with yourself is actually through your vocal practice. The voice, oh my goodness, it is such a powerful amplifier of your message. Of course it is. Before I sat down to record this video, I mysteriously had a little something in my throat, and this is normal. It's like your body knows. It's like, she's putting herself out there, attack mode. And so you might feel a restriction in your throat when you sit down to record. Your mind will go blank and you'll be like, I don't know. Your body's going into fight or flight. Yo, stop. This is scary. My favorite way to do this is actually doing vocal warm-ups in the car when there's nobody else there, because then I can be as loud with my voice as I want. You can find them on Spotify. I'll actually put my favorite recommendation in my Substack as well. Vocal warm-ups essentially are just like stretching your voice out. They're just making it easier to use because the voice is an instrument. And so many of us are showing up on here and really not understanding that the vocal instrument is what amplifies your message, what makes you fun and easy to listen to. So we have to learn how to play this instrument responsibly with great care because it is so powerful and yet we don't care for it. So vocal warm-ups, man. I was a singer for many, many years. And even though I don't do it formally right now, I was out of this practice for a long time. And that vocal warm-up stuff can really transform how you see yourself, how you use your voice, which leads to you advocating for yourself, for feeling more comfortable putting yourself on video, for getting a promotion at work. Tuning your vocal instrument has like magical powers dripping off of it, and nobody is doing it. Another trick for feeling more comfortable on camera is to give yourself something to hold. I like this little microphone because yes, I get much better audio when I use it, but it also gives me something to do with my hands. So maybe you want to just get, this is like a very ADHD recommendation, but you might need a fidget. Like you need something to do with your hands so that you can actually speak more naturally the way that you would speak to a friend. And speaking to the camera like you speak to your friends is like the number one hack of all hacks. During the pandemic years, my best friend from college, she introduced me to an app called Marco Polo. You basically send little videos back and forth to each other. And so even though we had maintained our friendship, it grew 10 times as strong because we live on opposite sides of the country, but we were able to send each other videos, updating each other on things, asking each other questions, the same way you would voice note, but it was with the full embodiment, the full expression. Getting a chance to see how different my demeanor was when I would record one of these videos to my friend versus the version of me that early on in my YouTube journey was showing up with these 5 tips. I don't talk like that. That's not me. When you have a more natural cadence, like you would if you were sending a video to your friend, you're gonna have less work on the edit because it actually sounds like you and you have coherent thoughts and things are following a pattern or a story. And it's just better. It's more natural, and it's so much easier for the viewer to watch you when you are comfortable speaking like you would speak to a friend. The last thing I wanted to share is this quote by artist and filmmaker Agnes Varda. She says, "The first feminist gesture is to say, okay, they're looking at me, but I'm looking at them. The act of deciding to look, of deciding that the world is not defined by how people see me, but how I see them." And even though she's speaking about this in a broader sense, this is one of the reasons why I think women have such a huge opportunity to step into their power when they get comfortable on camera. It is a choosing. We already know that we're being watched, that we're being looked at, that we're being monitored. And so when we put ourselves on camera, we put ourselves out there in the world, it's like that dial just gets turned up, cranked up to the max. And it can feel like too much sometimes. And so the only way to take the power back is to say, okay, but I'm looking at them too. I'm really asking, like, who can I help and how can I serve? Who are the people that I want in my world? Last week, I talked about this a ton. As the writer on Substack, you get to decide what kind of people you attract. Otherwise, it's like you're going on dates with people and you're always hoping that they like you, but you're never asking yourself if you like them. You have to accept on this journey that there's going to be weirdos and looky-loos. I don't need to get into it, but I've had people who I don't even know gossip to my parents about me. And I just have to let that go. So if you're getting tripped up by the visibility wound of it all, just remember that you can look back. You can make decisions about this little place you're building, this little world you're creating that make it easier for you to live here because you make it every day. If you want to try the free write Notion template that I mentioned earlier in the episode, I will leave a link for that in my Substack article. And just because it's such a banger, one more time, Agnes Varda, the first feminist gesture is to say, okay, they're looking at me, but I'm looking at them. Thank you for being here. I'll see you on the next one.